Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we're joined here with manager Bud Black. We'll go ahead and get started with Manny. Go ahead, Manny.
Buddy, obviously a lot of things happened late there. But my question to you is more general. You guys are 3-12 in your last 15 in this ballpark after being 43-20. What is your response to how that has all kind of unfolded here lately?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of, I think all three facets of the game. Slowed down a little bit as a group for, the weeks prior, even before the road trip to Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Washington. We swung the bats very well prior to that, and we swung the bats well on that road trip. Since we've been back here, we haven't swung the bats great. I can't recall prior to the trip exactly, the previous 4 or 5 games before that, but I think it was, a combination of a little bit of lack of offense, lack of the key hit. I think you saw that in this series. A little bit of the starting pitching, a little bit of the bullpen. So a little bit of everything, right? To win a game, you need all facets, or unless one facet really dominates a game, whether it's a pitcher throwing a great game, or whether you just outslug the other team and win it that way, or you get a key hit at a big moment when you have an opportunity. And that's been a little bit of the bugaboo lately against the Dodgers. 2 extra inning games that we didn't get the big hit, the Dodgers did. This series, the Giants got a couple big hits late in the game. We scored 2 runs, each of these 3 games, and only 4 hits today. So a little bit of offense, a little bit of timely hitting on the other side. Defense has been okay. Defense hurt us a little bit yesterday. So, when you're winning games, all those facets are happening. So I hope that answers. That's how I answered that question. I hope that's what you saw as well.
Appreciate it. And you bring in Kinley there for Bart. I assume that's because of splits in terms of facing left-handed batters.
Yeah, Barto's pitched. He's been out there a little bit the last 5 days, and you could tell that he wasn't really hitting his spots. He punched Posey, he punched Bryant. The walk to Duggar and the base hit to LaStella, I thought Kinley would give us a better chance against Crawford. And, Crawford 2 for 4 against Bard with a homer. Small sample, 4 at-bats, not a lot. Crawford 1 for 3 against Kinley, not a lot. It's too small of a sample size to really, make a discernible decision. But I just thought the better matchup to get Crawford out was to go to Kinley.
Thanks, bud.
Yep.
Nick Groh, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, buddy, beyond the strikeouts today, in this homestand, there have been a lot of swings and misses and a lot of swings outside the zone.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was progress in this area, like a little bit earlier this season. And kind of, do you notice when it starts to creep back? Is there something that precipitates when that hyper aggressiveness comes back?
Yeah, a little bit. That's, in the second half, I thought we've done a much better job of that. The last number of games, it's regressed, that's for sure. It's a little bit of a combination of the pitchers we're facing, right? The kid today threw the ball great. That's as good as I've seen him throw. Osmond. The Dodgers, they threw, even though we got to Buehler, Urias, Scherzer, we got to those guys, but, there was a chase element in there. You got guys who, it's that fine line of being aggressive and being able to lay off the borderline strikes. I think, that's what makes, a little bit, the Giants, successful, a little bit of the Dodgers, those players that they have on their roster, have that skill. And our guys are trying to get there. They are. I mean, we have, a number of guys who've chased a lot of our younger players. And some of our veteran players have chased a little bit more than normal the last few weeks. So I agree with you on your assessment.
I understand how difficult it is, I think, just because you're also getting a lot of hits. Like there is some feedback that says, that aggression works. Is this a thing that's just going to be an inherent Rockies issue always, or is it this team?
No, I think it's just this team. No, it's not going to be, we got to, again, I think when we started taking off a little bit, I think you saw a little bit more of that selectivity amongst this group. I'm not going to go to each and every player. I mean, we can probably at some point, Nick, but maybe not, right now after a tough loss. But, that's the thing we're striving for, is to get our chase rate at a better level, at a better percentage. And it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't. And we got to get there. So it's that fine line of, experience helping you. There's some mechanical adjustments among some players that has to occur at this level because the pitching is so much better than the minor league level. And some of our players with service time, have to take the walk. They shouldn't have to feel as though they have to carry the burden of offensive production on their shoulders. And I sense that sometime from a couple of our veteran players that because of who they are, they have to sort of carry the load. Sometimes you got to accept the walk. You got to, and you just have to, because it's very tough to hit major league pitching outside of the strike zone.
Gotcha. Thanks, buddy.
Yep.
All righty, we'll go to Patrick Saunders and then finish with Owen Perkins if we have no other hands up. Go ahead, Patrick.
Hey, buddy. Although it's been better of late, walks have hurt your relievers a lot this year, Daniel Bard in particular. You've talked a lot about the stuff he has. What has he got to do to harness that stuff to not give up 2 walks in an inning like he did today? Because that really hurt you.
Well, again, it's, there's a component of the delivery. It's a loose, long, whippy arm. Bigger guy, longer levers. Without getting overly technical, he's got to, within his delivery, the release point has to be consistent. And I see that varying a little bit. I do. And whether it's by design or not, at times it is. But, for me, Daniel's got to, within his delivery, get it consistent. I mean, it starts at the, through the delivery to the balance point, to the release point, the finish. There's some pitching mechanics principles that he needs to adhere to probably a little bit better. And there's no denying the stuff. We've talked about that, but this year for Daniel, the walk rate's way too high, and you can't overcome it by, striking the next guy out or trying to, understand that, strikeouts can bail you out, because eventually, guys on base, it's going to come back to bite you. That's where, conversely on our end, when you talk about the offense, our on base percentage has to increase, because you score runs by getting on base, via the batting average or the walk. And, our walk rate needs to improve offensively. And to your point, our bullpen relievers, their walk rate has to decrease. So that's where we are.
Anything else, Patrick?
How well Gosman pitched. Antonio maybe doesn't have the strikeouts the way Kevin Gosman does, but how much have you seen him improve from, say, day one of this season to where he is now? Because I think over his last 9 starts, I think it's a flat 3 ERA, and you could argue lately he's been your most consistent starter.
Yeah, you're right. He really has been. Again, we've talked about it from start to start. I think, he's held his stuff throughout the year, and maybe the fastball velocity's ticked up a little bit along with the command, along with the fastball in good spots. And we've talked about the improvement in the secondary pitches, all three of them. The slider, which was, probably the best combination with the fastball over his career. But you've seen the curveball and the change come into play. And I think that's going to, the ratio of those four pitches will change a little bit in the coming seasons, and they'll need to, because, his service time now, there's not a lot of secrets. I mean, he has a lot of at-bats against a lot of these players in the National League. He'll have to continue to pitch. But I think that, from, when he first got here as a younger pitcher till now, you might say that he was a little bit, I wouldn't say a classic thrower or overthrower of the ball, but now he's really turned into a pitcher and understanding what he needs to do within his game and what he needs to do in this ballpark, which is also a challenge, as we've talked about.
All righty, we'll finish up with Owen Perkins. Go ahead, Owen.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Sensatella also, just about today in particular. It maybe wasn't the most efficient outing, but he certainly seemed to pitch well enough to win. Can you just assess a little bit about what you saw from him today?
Yeah, I thought he went, toe-to-toe with their guy. I mean, their guy was really good, like I said earlier. We just got the leadoff single from Hampson, and then eventually the homer from Crone. Then we stressed him in his last inning. But, Census stayed right there, had a, pretty crisp first inning, little pitch count in the second, a little pitch count in the third. But, he held his stuff. We felt good about him going back out there in the sixth with over 80 pitches on a pretty warm Sunday afternoon. But, this guy has shown that, he's made pitches when he's needed to, especially the last couple months. And that's to Patrick's point, what's been the difference. But I think it's, his collection of pitches at certain points of the game being unpredictable and landing pitches in the strike zone. He hasn't beat himself, which is the key for all pitchers. And you can say that in the ninth that, Daniel beat himself with the leadoff walk and then and the punch out to Posey, then the walk to Flores. Put a guy in scoring position. So that makes it awful tough. So, Sense has learned to get the ball in the strike zone, and he's also shown the improvement with the secondary pitches to help Scott.